So the opening is really, first of all, uh, him trying to contextualize like what he thinks the love story is. Like the director has a clear idea कि ये क्या type की love है जिसके बारे में वो बात करने की कोशिश कर रहा है. Um, before he gets into all the dirty kind of reality of all that Arjun is going through. But I think the point of this is like he's really trying to say कि उसके दिमाग में कितना pure idea of love है, which is what is applying to the character. And I
Hmm.
think the reason this is very important, and only this time I understood it, is that you can understand why Arjun is so messed up in the film
Hmm.
if you understand how deeply he thought this love is. Now, I think
Hmm.
it is a dangerous kind of idea generally because, like, what if the other person doesn't believe in that depth of your love, etc.? Then you're kind of walking a dangerous line. But I mean, in this movie, they both really believe in that. कि वो है. But anyway, the point of the opening is to show कि ये pure idea of love जो इन दोनों के बीच में हो रहा था. A and B, within the first 2 minutes, the director has shown us that this guy is like this super hopeful guy who's super optimistic and he always believes कि अगर किसी चीज में मैं actually believe करता हूँ, then it'll
Hmm.
work out for the good. And that's what they all this aren't like दादी जी की जो discussion चल रही है कि hope is good is, so they're already giving us these two major क्या कहते हैं beliefs of the character that are driving him to um, that are going to drive him to do what he will do in the movie even before
Yeah.
we see him. So I think that is very interesting in the sense that you usually assume कि character driven movies में जो character का exposition होता है वो character के बात करने से होता है. But till now we haven't actually seen the character acting in any way, but we already kind of are primed to know two main things about the character,
Hmm.
which is कि A, he believes in this like heavenly love and uska heavenly love, and B is कि this guy is super optimistic and hopeful. um and the heavenly love
Hmm.
wala, actually I'll let you react first and then we can, if we want, we can think about the quote exactly or something, because it sounds like fluff but it has some meaning, the quote.
Is the doll like a proxy for the female protagonist?
It sounds like it. It really sounds like it. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if he yeah, I think he's exactly trying to put it in a nutshell in the film. Put the film in a nutshell by that 1 2 lines.
Yeah. I think.
Dude, that's amazing. If that's what's happened, because Shiva throughout the movie is like, bro, tu chhor de wo bandi. Like Shiva is doing exactly what his dadi was doing about the doll.
Yeah.
That's insane, right? So he that is the movie for the director at least.
Yeah. I think colors are very important um
Mm-hmm.
in how I see movies. And if you look at the main poster of at least Kaviv Singh, it's, I think if I remember correctly, it's a reddish maroonish background. He has black hair, he's wearing red sunglasses, and he's wearing a black t-shirt or black shirt or black something. It's very dark,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone kind of thinks of this movie as this dark, bad, not bad but negative thing. If you look at the
Exactly.
first frame of the movie, it's except the color of their skin, it's all white. And anyone who doesn't realize that there are two sides to every human, a dark side and a white side, uh, does not understand humanity. I think my main critique of these film critics is
Mm-hmm.
not that they're bad critics, is that they just don't know what humanity is, and they don't
Mm-hmm.
just don't know what life is.
Or
So
they're just not curious about like the humanity of it, right? Yeah.
yeah,
Anyway, go ahead.
so I think the first scene is badass because they're lying on a beach, and Thoras, it's like you don't even know how intense the movie is going to be. But
Mm-hmm.
I think the movie ends with that and it begins with that. And that is basically kind of what the directors, I think, hope is. Like in the first movie, like in the first frame only, if you know that this is what the ending is going to be like, all of us kind of deep down knew that this is not one of those sad, depressing movies where sab khatam ho jata hai end mein, but
Right.
the ending is good. And I really think the Dadi wala example of him including the old ladies in the first scene
Mm-hmm.
is actually so interesting. And maybe I'm reading into this too much, but if you look at like the average portrayal of moms or family members in Hindi movies, it's very like I've never heard them talk about anything that is not like very archetypical. Like everything, yeah, like it's very obvious what they're going to see. Either they're a very good mom or they're a bad mom. But this is like the first time that they're just sort of talking about it. You see how they're interacting, and I think it plays a big role for us family in this movie. Like this movie is really about family,
Mm-hmm.
um, because I mean, why else would you have like in a love story? Why would you have a 15-minute segment of the of Kabir's mom, grandma's death? There's a 50, like a
Yeah.
10-15 minute sequence,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is just sort of explaining what kind of a character he is. But the one
Mm-hmm.
contrast this movie shows to the world and the Western world or the modernizing Indian world is that like family is a thing. Like a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people don't realize it, but there is a very intimate connection between love, sex, and family.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie does it like, or kaun si movie kind of pushes into it itna zyada. Um, or like I mean, there are movies that do it. A lot of Karan Johar movies do it, but I liked the fact that in the ending, it's like the parents are okay with the children, and like thoda sa it almost reminded me of DDLJ in a good way. Like DDLJ ka kind of point was that you don't just run away with your girlfriend and like marry her, but you need to kind of integrate her back into the family, or
Mm-hmm.
you need to be integrated into her family. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and Thoda this did that, and it's pretty wholesome. It's good.
Yeah, and I think it's a very interesting point about how the film talks about family, because I think usually what will happen is a story is either only about the love or only about family, or say something great like a DDLJ has both. But I feel like the second half is basically family and first half is love, right? And they're clearly demarcated. Whereas I think here it's, and as you go through the movie, this time I definitely really um, understood a lot about what his love is, and it really does not just feel like this like it's not just this mad love that the first half makes it seem like of course he's like ye meri bandi hai type ki things, and then like he's super into her but he doesn't know exactly why, and he's like, I just like the way you breathe, and so it makes it feel like, oh, this is just romance. But as you
Mm,
go further into the movie and you see why he's holding on to her so much, there is a clear line of how he views their relationship. Like he thinks it's a familial bond, and he feels
mm,
like once he saw her, he's like, I just have to like basically have a family with her. Uh, and when he's saying things like, I don't just think we were born for each other, I think our generations before us were born so that we could meet. I don't think that's a grand way of saying I'm in love with you. I think there's more to it than just saying I'm in love. Like I think it's a way of saying that he really thinks that they are one person, they belong to one family, and so there's a really familial element to just being in love. Whereas I feel like in DDLJ, the love is like supposed to be this thing like, I'm just drawn to you and like I just need to be with you kind of thing. Whereas here it's not just I need to be with you. It's like I want to have a life with you and my life should revolve around you. And that's just one aspect of how it's a familial thing, is that their love
mm.
is familial. But along with that, like there's a clear idea of how his dadi thinks her relationship compares with his, and she thinks ki it'll work out, don't worry, if we can integrate each other into families. And then um they also try to show how he consoles his dad after his dadi's death, and the way he consoles him is like a very sweet way, and it's a very kind of modern way of saying ki yaar, come on, like kind of grow up. But the point
Mm.
there is to say ki how he interacts with his father is supposed to be an important character trait according to the director or the writer.
Yeah,
So they're really trying to show कि उसका mind सिर्फ ऐसा नहीं है कि वो बस attracted है इस बंदी से and वो उसके पीछे पड़ा हुआ है करके. Like there is a lot
yeah.
of ideas of um, like him viewing them as one person, one family kind of thing. Yeah.
What was your favorite scene in the movie?
Uh, so from the Hindi movie, my favorite scene is when they're getting married and like she's pregnant and they're getting married, because I think that song just hits different. Jo mere soneya karke hai. That I think is amazing. Another favorite from the Hindi one is जब वो फुटबॉल फील्ड में चलता है और मुक्के धरता है, वो भी बहुत बड़ा सही सीन है, because I think that, like, if that put aside any of the concepts of love story whatever, that shows the
Yeah.
director like vision of, like, वो एक उसमें तू कैरेक्टर को अच्छे से देख पाता है, उसमें तू आर्ट देख पाता है, क्योंकि वो फ्रेमिंग जब वो चलता है बहुत सेक्सी लगता है. So that's good. In the Telugu
Yeah.
movie, my favorite scenes were actually with Shiva, because the Telugu Shiva is just hilarious. I think even the Hindi one is pretty funny,
Yeah.
but the Telugu Shiva is so funny. Especially there's one scene where, and yeah, actually this scene is great because in the middle, जब वो already बेख्याली सब हो चुका है उसका, एकदम दारू वारू पी रहा है वो, तब शिवा और अर्जुन बात कर रहे थे बाथरूम में, और ये थप्पड़ मार
Hmm.
देता है शिवा को, कि भाई शिवा तू हर बार ये क्यों कहता है प्रीति छोड़ के चले गई करके थप्पड़ मार देता है. तो फिर शिवा पीछे
Hmm.
चले जाता है, एंड फिर वो कहता है अबे शिवा एक बार आ. एंड
Hmm.
फिर शिवा कहते हैं नहीं नहीं, तू मेरे को मारेगा, मैं नहीं आऊंगा. तो कहते हैं
Hmm.
नहीं नहीं आना, मैं नहीं मारूंगा, आजा. तो फिर वो
Uh,
आकर उसे उसे अर्जुन उसे बोलता है, एंड दिस आई थिंक इज इन द हिंदी मूवी आल्सो. ही इज लाइक कि भाई तू ऐसे सोच कि अगर लड़की का पीरियड्स चल रहा हो, तो तू लड़की को ऐसे थोड़ी ना बोलेगा कि भाई ऐसा होता ही है, तो तेरा तेरा लक खराब है, तू लड़की पैदा हो, ऐसे नहीं बोलेगा ना, तो उसको ध्यान रखेगा, ये करेगा. तो वो कहता है समझ आ रहे थे को, या करीमनगर के गांव वाले मेंटालिटी से है तू, विच इज तेलंगाना का एक पार्ट जहां से शिवा इज देयर. सो ही इज लाइक वो छोटी सोच होगी तेरी करके, ऐसा है, या
hmm.
डू यू अंडरस्टैंड कि यू शुड टेक केयर ऑफ योर वुमन काइंड ऑफ थिंग. So he's like, "Abbe, शहर पे मत जा." And so he stays quiet till Arjun is scolding him, whatever. But he's like, "Don't go on where I'm from." So that
Yeah.
immediately, see, there is a specific character here. Then उसके बाद he says, and then Arjun is like, "तो देखो समझ आया फिर कि नहीं?" तो कहता हाँ पूरा समझ आया. तू बेसिकली कह रहा है कि जैसे लड़की के पीरियड्स होते हैं वैसे तेरी हालत खराब हो रखी है, एक्सेप्ट कि
Hmm.
उसका महीने में 3 बार होता है, तेरा महीने में पूरे दिन यही होता है, और तू दारू पी के मरना चाहता है. तो फिर
Hmm.
that in one scene shows both the characters, like who they specifically are as people. And also in that one scene, it shows Arjun's imperfect mindset. Like it shows कि Arjun actually बहुत self serving तरीके से सोचता है कि मैं ये एक दर्द से हूँ, एक self pity से
Yeah.
and that Shiva's character um, is being used to tell us to understand that this guy is imperfect. Don't just think that just because he's the hero of
Yeah.
the movie, he's right or something. So I think that scene is my favorite. How about you?
Yeah. I really, really, really like the Shiva character, and I really like the actor in Kaviv Singh, which was Soham Majumdar. I think I think he was kind of my favorite character. I actually think, and people will not take this seriously when I say it, but I think in terms of acting in the movie, I would rate him first, Soham Majumdar first. I would actually rate Kiara Advani second, and then third I would put what's his name,
Shahid Kapoor.
Shahid Kapoor, and Shahid Kapoor is also very good.
Yeah.
But I had a theater teacher when I was a kid, and he said like the easiest character to do are like the loud is like the Salman Khan type of character, right? The loud, different from life, specific characters.
Mm-hmm.
And the hardest characters to do are like the very, very subtle characters.
Mm-hmm.
And there was also this Amar Chitra Katha story I read Bachpan Mein, where an Akbar and Birbal story where अकबर एंड बीरबल आर लाइक इन द टाउन एंड कोई नाटक कर रहा है एंड एक बंदा जो है वो गाय बना हुआ है एक्टिंग में एंड लाइक अकबर इज वेरी इम्प्रेस्ड एंड लाइक बीरबल को बोलते हैं बीरबल आर यू नॉट इम्प्रेस्ड बीरबल लाइक नो नॉट येट एंड बीरबल थ्रोज अ स्टोन एट छोटा सा स्टोन एट द काउ एंड द काउ काइंड ऑफ shakes its leg the person acting as the cow shakes its leg which
Mm-hmm.
is exactly how a normal cow does and he's like itna zyada it's gotten into the character that it's even gotten those things down and the
Mm-hmm.
friend character and the Kiara Advani character are very subtle. And
Mm-hmm.
yes, Kiara Advani has less dialogues. Even the friend has less dialogues. But I really think they do a very good job.
Yeah.
Um, it's like at no point does the character break. They're in character. At no point do I doubt ki this is Kiara Advani or this is Soham Majumdar. I am convinced that this is Preeti and Shiva.
Yeah,
And at
100%.
some points, I do think Shahid Kapoor hai ye. And I'm not saying कि वो नहीं होना चाहिए. Maybe that's
Yeah.
the point of a lead hero कि more of उसका personality.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have a very good Shiva scene, which I think अभी हमारा Zoom खत्म हो रहा है, but I'd like to थोड़ा show it in the next segment.
Yeah, yeah. Let's do the next segment for that. I also suggest that the next one could be just really comparing Kabir and like their performances, like Shahid and Vijay, because I have a lot to say about that. But yeah, I mean, let's just say that this episode is like drawing to a close or something. I would say like we basically talked about the problem with film critics today. And then we talked about why this movie should be discussed the way we think that the way we are discussing it. Then the opening of the film, I think the opening was very powerful. And also we should touch about that later, about the balance between the dark side and the light side of people, which this movie is doing. This is not just showing the dark side the way people think it is. Like there's a clear yeah, we can talk more about that later. And then finally, you about our favorite scenes. But I think Shiva, and you're absolutely right. I think all these characters really seem like characters and not just the actors. And the supporting people are very important to the movie. I think Preeti's character is so important. Like people think Preeti is a writer's tool for Arjun or Kabir. I don't think that's true at all. Preeti is a full character of her own. Yeah, okay, we'll talk about stuff later. All
Cool.
right. Bye.
Bye.